summer, Josh Lowe in the light, waiting run so high, Jose Siri on the fly, Randy's burning bright, 200 in the sky. America League, beware, Rays are here to fight, swinging for the fences, bringing all their might. Pitchers feeling fear when they see the Rays, balls flying out of here, light up the place. Home run after home run, it's a Tampa Bay show. Crowd is going wild, watch the power grow. American League, beware, Rays are here to fight. Swinging for the fences, bringing all their might. Pitchers feeling fear when they see the Rays, balls flying out of here, light up the place. Home run after home run, it's the Tampa Bay show. Crowd is going wild, watch their power grow. American League, beware, Rays are here to fight, swinging for the fences, bringing all their might. Pitchers feeling fear when they see the Rays, Rays are here to fight, swinging for the fences, bringing all their might.
And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Hello and welcome
I'm
back
gonna
to your
unmute myself.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, you want to take it or shall I? This is the magic of live podcasting.
Yeah, you take it.
You're
give us your
too
best
kind. Hello and welcome back to your RBLR Rays show. Thank you for joining us for the first time, or if you're a regular, welcome back. We're pleased to have you and talk some Rays. I am Pat Davenport, and I am joined, as always, by my amazing host, Zach Dabb. Zach, how are you today?
I am doing really, really well. Doing some spring cleaning. Always feel so much better about myself when I clean up the house a little bit. The Rays are playing well. Ricky Fowler is 8 under today at the Travelers Championship. He's 5 back of the lead, so I'm feeling good about that. Jack Caglione got left out of the Golden Spikes, so I'm a little upset about that. But everything else is kind of going well, so I'm pretty good. How about you, Pat?
I'm doing well. I feel like this was like a nice moment for us because I never ask how you are. You know, it's always you asking how I am, and I never ask how you are. We need to talk about our feelings, and I'm doing well. About an hour ago, speaking of feelings, I went and saw Inside Out 2 at the cinema, and I did have a little cry. And I'm feeling emotionally vulnerable, and I'm also feeling a bit sunburned because the Rays are heating up, both metaphorically, the sports team, but also here in the UK, I got sunburn. So anyone watching
what's
on
the temperature
YouTube,
over there right now?
oh, this is embarrassing. This is probably going to embarrass me in front of the US people. Don't embarrass me in front of the cool Americans, guys. But it was like 22 Celsius, which I think is like 72.
Yeah. Well, hey, the sun can burn you no matter how hot it is outside. So as a very white American, I've been burnt many times. Have you ever gotten sun poisoning? I got sun poisoning a couple summers ago. That is that's terrible. I went out on a boat trip for my 1 week off a couple summers ago, and I got sun poisoning. I could not move or do anything for the entire week.
All on my back. That was a thing.
Yes, it is a thing, and it is terrible. So wear your sunscreen. If you don't take anything else away from this podcast, if you're out there, wear sunscreen because skin cancer is real, and so is sun poisoning. So, with that PSA out of the way, we're going to talk some Rays baseball. We have a positive week to discuss, which we haven't had in a little while. We've been so like up and down, like, right around 500. This is a week where we are above 500 since we last spoke to you all. So that's good. And they're doing exactly what we talked about. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what the future, what the next week is going to look like. There's a couple of guys that are knocking on the door in the minor leagues. We've got some potential roster, just a couple of small moves. We're going to discuss what the options could be there. And then we're going to also break down a little bit, go back into the playoff picture. I know it's very early, but we are going to keep talking about that because I think it gives good perspective on how the team is playing. With, it's easy to just talk about with the wins and losses, but putting some perspective or with the teams around them, I think will kind of give us an idea of how the Rays are doing. And if you'd like to let us know how we're doing, we'd appreciate it if you'd give us a like, if you like what you're seeing. If you're watching us for the first time, thank you for watching us live. And if you're seeing this live, maybe the reason you saw us live is because you're following. And if you want to know anytime we go live, you're going to want to follow us. You're going to want to subscribe so you get notified whenever we go live. We're going to have a lot of really fun shows this summer, I think. This team is starting to turn it around, I think. Is a little bit of spoiler of my opinion of this last week. And there's going to be a lot of really good shows, so make sure to follow. And if you would do us a huge favor, that would really help us out. Just share us around to someone else who you think might enjoy the show. It would mean a lot to us. So as we look back at the week that was, we closed out the Braves series with a win. How big of a deal do you think was getting the win to end that series?
Oh, huge. Because if we got swept, then vibes, first of all, would be in the mud. But also, like, that's a really good team that was starting to put themselves together and start to gain a little momentum. And we need to prove ourselves that we can beat good teams because that's who we're going to be facing in the playoffs. So coming through, scoring a lot of runs in that game as well, a big deal. And we're going to talk more about us scoring a lot of runs lately. But that was kind of the moment where this offense has started to show signs of life, because until then they were lethargic as a unit. Because if you look back, I'm going to tell you a bunch of run totals of the game, of how many runs we scored in the games prior to that. 2 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, 3 runs, 2 runs, 2 runs, no runs, 3 runs. Like that's a run of like 10 games where we were scoring 2 runs or no runs or 3 runs. And that's awful. And that's why we were also down on the team. I know I was down on the team last week, and I know fan sentiment is down on the team. But all of a sudden, starting in that Braves series, the offensive started putting together some big numbers on the scoreboard. And this could be what we look back on as a turning point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's starting to get the offense moving in the direction we always knew it could be. I mentioned this earlier in the year. I did some digging on the first third of the season and basically found that we have a rough, like sub 100 WRC plus stretch almost every single season as a team. The team does. And we've seen that over the last 5 years. All years we made the playoffs, we had a rough stretch. And I said at the time, this team is going to rebound because we have seen the evidence that they are going to do so. And one of, I think, the key culprits to them not rebounding was not having the team fully assembled and being able to sort of get in sync together as a unit. We're starting to see that now. I mean, we mentioned it last week. This is what we have been looking for all season. The team is together. They are being able to play together. They're being able to feed off of each other, create that lineup protection throughout the lineup, getting performances up and down the lineup. When you look at the game, this is going to be the story throughout the week. But when you look at the Braves game, the key contributors were Brandon Lau, who you expect, Ben Rortvedt with a grand slam, and then Jose Siri, who has just been Mr. Clutch, providing late firepower. And that is what a good team does, gets performances from up and down the lineup. What a good team also does is not give up when it is easy to give up. When Jason Adam comes in and blows that save and you give up those 2 runs and you think you had a win in the bag, you start giving up all these runs and then you're tied and you're on the road. You imagine the other team walking you off to come back in the top of the 9th to score those extra runs, and then for Pete to go out there, only give up a walk, strike 2 guys out, and get you out of that stadium with a win is a huge deal. It speaks to the character of this team, and why I think I have so much faith in them is this team does not give up. We saw, we're going to talk about it in the Twins series. This is a team that does not give up no matter what, and they're going to fight all the way through the game. They're going to win a lot of close ball games because they are willing to fight and fight and fight for every single win, and that's going to pay dividends down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a perfect segue into that Twins series where we did lose that first game in kind of heartbreaking fashion. We got walked off upon. And we dropped that game 7-6. And you always hate it when the offense was, still kind of considered floundering a little bit. For them to score 6 runs and still take the L was a bit tough, especially in walk-off fashion like that. You felt like if we could get the game to extra innings, maybe you had a chance there because, that's essentially a toss of the coin. But we couldn't quite close it down. That was a tough one. That was a tough pill to swallow. But the bats looked good again. And then we had 2 extra inning wins to close out that series, 3-2 in the second game of the series, and then 7-6 in the final game of that series. And again, the bullpens were vital in that, for better or for worse, because in the first of those extra inning wins, the bullpen were absolutely nails and did such a tremendous job. And then we all got terrified blowing a 4-run lead in the 9th. To send it to extras. Vibes were not good going into that 10th inning, but then we somehow, again, mentality monster, pulled it out. How are you feeling about taking 2 out of 3 in 3 one-run games against the Twins?
I feel fantastic. This is a team that is ahead of us in the playoff standings. They are one of the hottest teams in baseball coming into this series. We went into their building and could have swept them very easily. Got out with a series win. And that is what playoff teams do. This is what we would expect this team to do. This is maybe the first stretch of baseball where I can say, this is the way that I expect them to play. Are they going to win every single game? No. They're going to lose tough games on the road. It's going to happen. But they're going to be competitive in every single baseball game they play. They're going to have a chance to win. They're going to have leads. This is what I expect from this team. And they did exactly that. And then you look at the last game of the series, you see, some guys I'm going to talk about it again. Johnny DeLuca, a guy that has really been struggling at the plate, gets the critical knock in the 10th inning to score a run. And then when you go into the bottom half of that inning, you get an amazing play from your top defensive center fielder, who the only one who was not impressed by his performance was him. That is the kind of stuff you need to start playing winning baseball. Guys who have been having rough stretches, making good contributions, even if they're still not playing that well, still making good contributions. And then your stars, which we talked about this in the group chat. I think if you were to rank the top 10 Rays performances of this season, not only is Jose Siri on that list, we were kind of going back and forth. He is a lot closer to the top of that list than I think some Rays fans may have thought he'd be going into this season. And even as recently as a month or two ago, he has played so well over the last several weeks, defensively, offensively, on the base paths. He's been the complete package. That throw from deep left field all the way, right field to third to get a very fast runner, by the way, out on an absolutely perfect throw to get Royce Lewis, who's one of the stars of this Twins team, out in a critical moment where you needed to prevent them from getting any more runs to stop this game in its tracks. That's your stars are performing, and you're getting performances from guys who have not been doing it all season long and are now starting to perform. We're also seeing good performances from guys like Colin Poche, who I think his absence from the team was a little understated. He had a really great outing yesterday, and he was good in this series. Well, he was good all week. Him coming back to the fold and being able to perform at injecting his performance into this team has provided a lot of value as well. So I'm ecstatic about the performance. Would I have loved to get the sweep on the road? Yes, but I'm very happy with getting a series win over a team above us in the standings. Having that tiebreaker could easily be a big part of our playoff chase going down the stretch.
Yeah, agree with everything you said there. These were all one-run games, which is all, living on a knife edge. Because of the mentality, because of the hustle, because of the high execution of their performance as a team, they managed to pull out those wins. That was a mentality series.
Yes.
That was a mentality series, and the team has proven that they have mentality, and they are never out of a game, like you said. And the fact that we could have swept them just as easily. We were very close to a sweep. But if the team were low on their own confidence and kind of were like, well, we're a few games under 500, we can feel the playoffs kind of start to slip away. They don't win those games. If they lack self-belief in what they can do for 1 second, they do not win those games. We get swept. And if we got swept in that series, I wouldn't declare the season over, but I would have been pretty darn close. Because then I'd say, right, if we got swept by our closest playoff competition, then I don't see how we claw back from there. But we did it, and that means the team is right back where it needs to be. And I'm just as ecstatic as you are, because I think this will be the turning point. That Braves win, and then that series right there will be the turning point for the season. We're so back. And on that point on Jose Siri, you're absolutely right too. He is 4th on the team in position player WAR, according to Fangraphs WAR. And a lot of that is from his defense, but also offensively, he's been a bit below what you maybe want from him, especially in terms of going through really long slumps, particularly in May. But what he brings to this team is so vital in terms of the defense, in terms of the energy that he brings, the vibes that he brings, which can't be understated. Even smart baseball statisticians know that vibes are just as important. Vibes and confidence are just as important as, launch angle and as exit velocity. Confidence and vibes are so important, and Jose Siri is a vital component of those vibes. I mean, we're going to talk about this when we talk about the Pirates game in a minute, but like him robbing that home run and then doing a little pirouette, X vibe skyrockets, and you can't speak highly enough of that. And yeah, I'm just thrilled with how that Twins series went, because it could have went in a bunch of different directions, but now I'm feeling ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic. And on your point on Poche as well, Garrett Clevenger's really the only lefty in the pen that we can kind of go to, and he's volatile. When he's on it, nails, but he's gone through streaks where he's either been completely locked down or completely all over the place. And Poche is far more controlled than that. You know what you're going to get out of Colin Poche. So having that extra left-handed option in the bullpen is so vital, especially when a lot of the best bats in the league are left-handers as well. And even then, he's kind of platoon neutral. So I'm super thrilled to have Poche back, and just to have, Poche back instead of an Erasmo or whoever the next best option is, because it's not as simple as Poche, comes in. It's also you take your worst reliever out of the bullpen and replace him with Poche. And people forget that sometimes. So instead of having to run with an Erasmo or having to run with someone far more volatile and replacement level, you've got someone that's super defendable in high leverage as well.
Yeah, and I think going into, if you look up and down the bullpen, I think you're getting a lot better performances all up and down, but having another guy like that to inject is definitely valuable. And especially because you've had one guy who is just having a rough go of it. I hate to say it because he's been really good. I think he's really good, but he's having a rough go, and he's pitched a lot of innings recently. Do you think we might see Devenski go down for a little bit? Not because I don't think he's bad. He has good stuff, and he's been performing well overall, but he's been through a really rough stretch, and he's pitched a lot of innings. So I could see a universe where the Rays say, hey, go down to Durham for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, work it out a little bit. You clearly are going through it a little bit. Maybe you need to go take some time down there just to kind of get your mind right, because he's clearly just had a rough stretch.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I would say yes. I would absolutely say yes. But to my knowledge, I don't think he has any options.
And I may have been speaking out of turn about that. Let me check. I thought he had options, but he may not. Let me check.
I remember. I'm going to just double check that. Does he have options? I don't know.
No, he does not have options. So if we were going to send him down, it would be a
DFA.
We'd have to lose him. So I guess the question is, you had to use your bullpen a lot, and we're skipping ahead a little bit to the beginning of the Pittsburgh series, but it's just coming to mind because we used the bullpen a good bit this week.
Mhm.
Do you think the team needs to make some kind of a? And it's tough because if you don't send Davinsky down, like Kevin Kelly's been fantastic, so I don't really want to
You
send
can't
Kevin
send him
Kelly
down.
down. You can't send Kevin Kelly on. He's been amazing. So it's tough because there's not a whole lot of other guys in the bullpen that have options. And I don't know that I'd really like while Davinsky has had a rough stretch over the last, maybe 2 weeks. I don't think he is as bad as he has pitched. Maybe you disagree with me, but I don't think he's as bad as he's pitched recently.
So the case with Davinsky is that he does generate a lot of swing and miss. His whiff percentage is 28.7, which is high. It's quite a long way above league average. And the Rays clearly value something in him because this past offseason, pretty much the first thing they did was make sure that they signed him to a major league deal straight away.
Yeah.
It wasn't a minor league deal, and they used him a lot in the back end of last season. So they clearly valued him. And I remember even hearing rumblings that they may even try and stretch him out as a starter or experiment with that, or at least a multi-inning guy.
Yeah.
So they like something about Chris Davinsky, but like you said, it has not worked. He is not a stuff guy at all. And when you're not a stuff guy, your command needs to be on point. And his command has not been on point. He is also not a ground ball guy. At least he hasn't been this year because his ground ball percentage has been abysmal. It's been in the first percentile. And when you give up fly balls, that can work for you, but it also leaves you at more risk at extra base hits and home runs. And right now, he's given up a lot of fly balls and a lot of home runs. And I'm not feeling it. I'm ready to give up on the Davinsky experiment. I think we've given him a long enough leash. I think the options in Durham are going to be at least on par with what Davinsky has been offering. And we've talked a little bit about the pitching philosophy of this team being super command focused and maybe the least stuff focused it's been in quite some time. I think we can get someone who has comparable command to Davinsky, but with better stuff and therefore greater margin for error. And if we're going to use him consistently in a bullpen piece, we need a guy that has a little bit of margin for error because Davinsky at the moment, he's given up home runs left, right, and center, and it's usually taking us out of ball games. So
yeah, it's tough. The home run to fastball rate is up. The ground ball rate is down. Left on base percentage is down. BABIP is about the same, so he's not really getting BABIP. He's got a 260 BABIP. That's really not that bad. Walks are up. Home runs per 9 are up. And this it's tough because I if I'm just watching him, it's like even as soon as 2 weeks ago, I thought he was doing a good job. He's just had like a couple of just terrible performances, and it's tough when you're like we're fighting for our lives a little bit right now. Not a little bit, we are as a team. And so when you see someone who is like he's got negative WAR in the season, so he's negatively contributing to your efforts to kind of turn things around. It's rough. That being said, as rough as it's been, it's really the last 2 outings that have done him in. He got 4 earned runs over his last 2 outings. Over the previous 7 before that, he only gave up 2 runs. So he had some rough starts at the beginning of the year, but he went on a stretch from the 25th of May all the way to the 16th of June, where he only gave up 2 earned runs, and he pitched he pitched a decent amount of innings over that time period. So he's had really good stretches. And, outside of the start on the 20th, which was what was that? Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. His last 2 appearances, he went 2 innings both times. So he has provided some length. So, but it's tough because if you look at the start on the 14th against Atlanta, 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, looked amazing. The next 2 starts, 1 strikeout, 4 earned runs given up, both in games that were very close and you needed to win. And that's not what you're looking for. And you won both those games, but you won them in spite of him, not because of him. And as a reliever, you're not, unless you're Pete Fairbanks, you're usually not going to win a team a game, but you sure can lose a team a game. So while it's I wanted to bring him up because it's something that if you're, it's easy to just talk about how great we're hitting and it's been fantastic. But the thing to look at that's been rough has been like that performance from the bullpen, from Devenski. So you're ready to be done with him.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you think Emrod could be just as good? Do you think Useta could be?
I
just
like
as good?
Emrod and Useta. I like both those guys. So that's a tough question because I like them both. I don't know. I'm just like, I have a hard time when the Rays so clearly see something in a guy. And the truth is, like, it's there. Like, you can see it if you look. The overall season statistics do not do him any favors. But he's had stretches. He had a 7-game stretch where he only gave up 2 runs. He's been really good for long stretches of this season. And he's provided length. Over that stretch of games, he pitched more than 2 innings or more. Was that 3 times in that? So he's provided length and he's provided quality outings. So it's hard for me to say that we should just move on from him completely because he has shown good stuff. What's frustrating about watching him is that he's had some really, really bad appearances. He's had a lot of really, really good, appearances where he's not given up runs. He's also given up 3 runs in an appearance. He's given up 6 runs in an appearance, and he's given up 2 runs 1, 2, 3 times, which is, and to be fair, all the times that he gave up 2 runs, except for once, were in multi-inning performances, but it's still not what you're looking for from a reliever generally. So it's tough.
Yeah, I think it's a tough call. The Rays, like you said, clearly value him. Maybe he's not a multiple inning guy. I don't know. I think is I'd love you to hear our audience's opinion on Devenski as well. I'd like to let while we're live, you can drop us comments on Twitter /X. You can do it on YouTube. You can drop us comments, and sometimes they'll feed through to us via our amazing producer, and we can address your thoughts live on air. So be sure to join the conversation while we're live if you're listening in, and let us know. Do you think we should cut ties with Devenski? And if so, who for? That's the big question. Who for?
Yeah. And if you know somebody who you think might have an opinion on Chris Devenski, which you cannot say to many groups of people, but I think we could say it to y'all. You might know someone who has an opinion on Chris Devenski. Give us a retweet on Twitter and send it over to that person who you think might have an opinion, and they can come drop it in for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Because I'm just playing around with it in my head, and I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I just want some reassurance on this. Because I think if I'm thinking about it, other people will be thinking about it. Mm-hmm. We talked last week about run differential and how the Rays have quite a bad run differential and are outperforming what run differential would say their wins and losses would be. Mm-hmm. And that's because when we win, we seem to win really close, and when we lose, we get blown out. And that's what we determine. That's basically because if Cash determines that if we're too far out of a game, he's just going to punt it and throw out the worst bullpen arm to kind of eat a bunch of innings, and he doesn't really care if the game gets out of hand. I'm at odds now because we just talked about how good this team is at coming back from things, and how if they're within striking distance, they're really good at putting at-bats together late in games to overcome deficits, and are really good against bullpens in particular this year. Should we punt less? Should Kevin Cash be going, hold on, we need to decide that we're in games more often and punt less and throw Devenski out for 3 innings less, or throw Erasmo out there less, or whatever? Do you think that's been a problem with the Rays' approach so far this year?
So let me put it this way. I don't think that we have lost many games that we would have won if we performed differently. If Kevin Cash made different decisions, I don't think there's a whole lot of games. There's maybe 1 or 2 that I could think of where there's one, I think it was last week, and I don't remember which one it was, but there was a game where we put a reliever out there that was not performing well at the time, and he had a rough outing and gave up runs, and we ended up scoring runs, so at least it would have made it either competitive or tied the game, but we had already given up the runs and ended up losing. Or I remember being frustrated in that scenario. However, I don't think you can understate the value of not using your high leverage bullpen arms early in the season and not getting yourself in situations where guys like Adam or Pete, Poche, Kelly, guys like that are burnt at the end of the year. I think where it gets tricky is because I have an angel and a devil on this opinion. The angel is that I understand why Kevin Cash does the things that he does, and I totally, I'm on board with that philosophically. The devil is if you were in our group chat, you would see it very frequently during games where I get very frustrated because I hate losing a lot. I hate watching my team lose. It's very frustrating to me. I'm very emotionally invested in this team. So while philosophically, I agree with what Kevin Cash does, I don't personally enjoy it. There's been several times that I have argued against what he's done. And I think that that's why I'm not running a baseball team, because I would not be good at it because I'm too emotional. But I can't pretend that I haven't felt that way throughout the year. So while I have felt that way, I don't think they should change the way they're doing things. Because again, and we're going to talk about this as we discuss a little bit of where we are in the playoff race. As frustrated as we have been, as many games as we could say we've punted on, we're only 4 games out of a playoff spot in June, and we're moving in the right direction from a win-loss perspective. So I really can't argue with it too much, because when you look at everything that the team has been through, the injuries, the guys just not available, the guys having subpar offensive performances, it doesn't really make sense to me. Like, as I'm sitting here right now, not in the 8th inning of a game that we could win, if you talk to me in, around 5:36-ish here Eastern time, when we're in the 8th inning and we're down 1 run and we send Davinsky out there or something, and I probably not Davinsky because he's burnt, but we send someone out there who I'm not as happy about to go and instead of Adam or whatever, and we end up losing by 1 run, or we score a run but they scored a run, like that, you might get a different Zach in that moment who has a different opinion. But philosophically, I agree with the way that he's running the team, because you have to think about more than just this one series. And by the way, I would actually argue that we have seen Cash be aggressive in moments. I would argue that the first game of the Pittsburgh series, he had I would say a quick-ish hook on Pepio and said, let's burn the bullpen because we can and should win this game. And the offense ended up supporting him, so it looks good. But like he made that move while the game was, I would say, still in doubt. And he was aggressive with the bullpen, went right in there and said, let's go, let's win this game. So I think that's if the team is performing well and he thinks he can get the offensive performance to win the game, or if we have a lead, he is not afraid to say, let's go get it. Because that was a 4-2 game when he pulled Pepio early. And we know the Rays have been trying to get more length from their starters. So he went to the bullpen in a game that they were winning, but that was bases loaded, could have easily turned on 1 pitch. And he said, I'm not leaving it up to chance. I'm going to go get one of my top guys and send him in there to close it out and to get us out of this inning. I don't care if I end up burning him for 2 innings today, because I need this win. And it worked out then because the offense supported him, and we were able to use guys like Davinsky and Baton to finish the game, so we didn't have to burn more high leverage arms. But he did go burn one of his top 3 arms in the 4th inning because he wanted to win a baseball game. So I think it can be frustrating at times to watch, but we've seen him we have seen him say, I'm going to go get this game. We're not going to let this game get off the rails.
Yeah. And I think it's a hard balance, because we've seen this team get to the playoffs burned out. We've seen what this bullpen looks like. I think the 2020 season is a great example. Nick Anderson completely burned out because we used him so much in the late stages of the 2020 season and pretty much every game of the playoffs. He got burned out, and he was super ineffective by the time the World Series came around, and we didn't want to bring him in. And you've got to keep your guys fresh for if we make the playoffs. But it is I also understand the balance of you've got to make the playoffs too. You've got to win enough games to get to the playoffs. And currently we're not there. So it's that hard balance to strike. And I don't envy that job at all. And I think they'll always make the move that feels right in the moment, and like that the odds will back them. But yeah, I think it can make for a tough watch as well. Shall
Yeah,
we
and
talk about
ahead.
this
Yes.
Pittsburgh game to
we
cheer
shall
ourselves
talk
up?
about it. We shall talk about it because it was an offensive explosion and it was very entertaining to watch just all across the board because you had a probably the one negative so far was the Pepio had a tough time. He walked four guys, uncharacteristic for him, was a rough start. Before we get into the good stuff, are you concerned about Pepio at all? He's had kind of two meh starts. Are you concerned about him at all?
No.
Next question.
No, he's young. He's still volatile. He's still working some stuff out. He's still very young into his major league career. It took Blake Snell like 3 years to turn into a Cy Young guy.
Yeah.
And he looked awful in his first like stint in the big leagues. And the same could be said. David Price wasn't the best he ever was in 2009 in his first full year. It was like 2010 where he started to turn it around. Tyler Glasnow when he first joined the Rays was inconsistent. Shane McClanahan when he first joined the Rays was inconsistent, and then in 22, 23 is when he really started to put it together. It takes time as a pitcher to kind of fully work yourself out, and this is kind of his first extended run in the big leagues as a pitcher.
Yeah.
So we just have to kind of run with the volatility. It's the same with Taj. You just kind of, and it'll be the same with Bars as well. Like until you get like an extended run of both health and innings, you can't really put too much faith in what their true kind of ceiling is until maybe their second, maybe halfway through their second season, maybe even their third season in the big leagues, until you kind of get a clear expectation of what they are. I still think the ceiling is super high on Pepio, but we've kind of just got to ride this wave of kind of inconsistency for now, while he's kind of figuring out his best mechanics, his best sequences, and which pitches he can rely on in different moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Nothing to add. I'm glad that we went to this game because this game was a rare thing that you are a huge fan of. It's a comfy win. It's amazing.
A comfy win. Can I say something fun?
Yes, say something fun.
This is actually not fun. But so for me, my own metric that I made up, comfy wins. This is only like the 7th comfy win of the season. And the last time we have, and for anyone wondering, a comfy win is a win where we win by more than what would be deemed a save opportunity. So it needs to be by more than 3 runs and a save was not applied. So, because sometimes you can win by 5 runs, but if you've got the bases loaded and nobody out when the guy comes in, a save is still necessary. So that's not a comfy win.
Right.
So we won 10-3. This was a comfy win. The last comfy win that we had was on May 11th. Where we beat the Yankees 7-2.
The Yankees game. Yeah. I was trying to think.
We beat the Yankees 7-2. And that every other win we have had has either been extra innings, a walk-off, or a save has been applied to the win.
Yeah, because I think there was one game where Bilal hit a walk-off, and I think did we end up winning that game by more than, or was it maybe it was 3 runs? We ended up winning that game by 3. Okay. But that still would have been a save situation because it was a walk-off. So does it count?
Yeah. So this is the first time in over a month that we have had a comfy win. And we've not had many of them. The May 11th game against the Yankees was our 20th win of the year. And this is now our 37th. So we've had a lot of games since then. But yeah, a comfy win. We love to see it, folks. And that's, we don't have enough of those, and hopefully we're going to see a few more of those going forward. That's for sure. I think our heart rates could definitely do with a few of them because every game we win has been close. But even then, it only turned into a comfy win probably after the low home run in the 6th.
Yeah,
it was kind of nervy through the first 5 and a bit.
Yeah, I think once we got, because I mean, bases were loaded. The go ahead run was on first, and the whatever that we would call the second go ahead run was at the plate in the bottom of the 4th, and we got out of that from the man we've discussed a couple times today. Colin Poche came in and got us out. I mean, with about as perfect of a solution to that situation, a nice easy double play to Isaac Paredes, to Brandon Lau, Yandy Diaz. We're out of that inning. The Pittsburgh's win probability, which I don't give a whole lot of stock to, but I think it's funny in certain moments, went down like 20% after that play. Tough one. Absolute nails from Poche to come in first pitch and get us out of that. And then to give us another inning after that as well to really kind of settle it down. And then for us to go to Matan and him to give us 2 innings. He's had kind of a up and down season, but he's had some really nice starts recently, or not starts. He's had nice performances recently. And then Davinsky, as much as we've just kind of talked about whether he should be on the team or not, 2 innings, 1 run given up. So you did end up using the bullpen a good bit, but you actually didn't use Adam or Pete yesterday or Clevenger. Yeah. So that's a win, especially when you consider your starter was out of the game in the 4th. I would, if you had told me, hey, Pepio's not going to make it through 3, I would have told you, oh, we burned everybody. But no, we didn't. We got good performances from Poche, Matan, and Davinsky to kind of carry us through the end of that game without having to use our high leverage guys, which also was because the offense came to play. Josh Lowe, 2 bombs. I guess Ben Rortvedt has decided he's a power bat now and has hit his second home run in as many weeks. So I guess Ben Rortvedt power bat now. What a time to be alive. Really fun performance, really fun game yesterday.
Yeah, everything you said and more. And like you said, having the kind of wiggle room to throw Davinsky out there for 2 innings and to have Maton go 2 innings can only be afforded by our offense breaking out. And if our offense break out more often, then it doesn't matter if we can throw out those kind of arms we have less faith in more often. So more of that, please. But the bats have been excellent. Like I said, since we last talked, 8 runs, 6 runs, 3 runs, 7 runs, 10 runs. So the offense is clicking, and I think we'll talk a bit more about that after our break. But hopefully the offense can continue this run of form, even though we've got a string of really nasty starting pitchers coming up over the next week or so.
If you're looking at your wardrobe and you're looking at your week ahead as well, and you say, I have got to have some great performances over these next couple of days, and you're looking at what you got in your wardrobe right now, and you're saying, I don't know if I've got what it takes to put out those stylistic performances over these next couple of days, and you're wondering, what do I do? How do I get the good performance? Can I find something in the free agent market to help get me those performances? The answer is yes, my friend. You can go to shop.rblrsports.com where you can get 10% off anything there with promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY. And it's not just the Rays. It's the Rowdies. It's the Bucks. It's the Lightning. If you want to buy some celebratory Lightning gear because the Florida Panthers are having a rough go of it in the Stanley Cup Finals, you can. If you want to buy some Rowdies gear because they've had some excellent wins lately, you can. If you really like the Bucks draft and you want to buy a Bucks shirt, you can. Shop.rblrsports.com. Upgrade your stylistic performance so you get those good performances in those moments where you need it the most. 10% off everything there with promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, shop.rblrsports.com.
Talk about some comfy wins. I feel like every item that you could buy there is a comfy win. Literally, because I've got a couple of those t-shirts and they fit so well, and I always feel like I'm winning at life while feeling comfortable too. So it's a good time.
Yeah, the Rays made a decision to feel a little more comfortable in their shirts this weekend. As much as you would have loved to see them in the City Connects all weekend, which is the original plan, apparently it was so hot that they were like, no, we cannot wear the black jerseys all weekend. Apparently it was 96 degrees at first pitch yesterday, which is brutal to wear black in. Still got the win, so I guess it didn't matter. But they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that over the rest of this series.
I just did the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion on that, and that made my eyes water. My British pasty skin would last about 10 seconds in that temperature.
Yeah, truly brutal stuff. But if we'd like to talk about some things that were not brutal, I've got an easy solution for you. That's the RB Alat and the RB Alarm of the week.
Oh yeah, we've got some good performances, particularly from the offense. We're in agreement, in fact, on our bat and arm of the week. I think we had a tough choice, but came to the same solution on bat of the week. So I'll let you take that away, Zach. Give us our bat of the week.
This was a tough one. When you look over this last week, you have 7 guys with a WRC plus over 140, which is not something we've been able to say recently. Isak, Yandy, Bilal, Siri were all excellent. And even in a tier above that, Benny Biceps with a 255 WRC plus, Josh Lowe with a 252 WRC plus. So you may ask yourself, those are all amazing numbers. Who could possibly be better than that? And I think you probably know the answer if you've been watching Rays baseball. It's Randy Arozarena. It is the guy that we have been waiting to turn things around. He is the heart and soul of this team. It's him and Jose Siri, the heart and soul of this team. When he is playing the way he's been playing recently, this team goes at different speed. 3 stolen bases, 5 RBI, 1 home run, a 274 WRC plus, 0.5 F4 over this last week. He is, by the way, leading the team in WRC plus for the month of June. He is leading the team in F4 for the month of June. He is turning things around. He is the guy that we look to when we say we need big performances and big moments. Randy has been providing that all throughout his career with the Rays, and he's turning things around like we said he would, getting back to what we expect from him. Randy's the bat of the week.
Yeah, awesome stuff from Randy. He's walking more. He's being more disciplined. He's finally getting his bat to the ball. He was getting overpowered by velocity quite a lot. His swing was getting a bit long. It has a tendency to do that. But he has been short to the ball. He's been selective and patient, which we all know is the best Randy. And Randy is a streaky guy. He always spends at least a month looking completely lost at the plate. We were all a bit concerned because he started this year spending about 2 months looking lost as opposed to just 1 month. But he has really made up for it for being red hot in the month of June. And actually, folks, you won't believe this, considering he's still only batting 191. He's almost back to a 100 WRC plus. He's currently on 97 for the year. He's like one more good week away from being back to above league average hitting. So Randy seems like he's almost all the way back, which, like you said, does wonders for this team. And I couldn't be more thrilled to see him feeling himself again, because when he's feeling himself, the whole team runs behind him.
Yeah, and one of the good points you made about selective Randy, which is the best Randy, over the month of June, he leads the regular starters in walk percentage with a 14.1 walk percentage. So that's the Randy that we need. That's the Randy that makes this team go. He's put up almost a full F4 above replacement over this last month. 0.9 F4 leads the team. And there's been some decent offensive performances this month. Like if you were to rank the team by WRC plus, you've got 7 guys above a 100 WRC plus for the month of June. And by the way, they're the usual suspects. Josh Lowe, Yandy, Bilal, Siri, Rosario has played well over this last month. Rortvedt has a 170 WRC plus, which is crazy. And then Randy at the top with a 189 WRC plus. So that's the kind of stuff we've been waiting for all season. And it is no surprise that as this team has improved, Randy is leading the way.
Yeah, and what is improving the offense in general? I would like to say that it's just that we have our guys back. We talked about how last week we've got our guys back and we expect the performance to improve, and then it didn't for a little bit. Like the first week or so of them being together, we were still looking a little flat offensively. Let's call that a little bit of lag getting back up to game speed, major league game speed. For a lot of these guys like Lowe, like Walls, like Lau, they were taking a bit of time to just readjust to the kind of momentum of a major league season and how difficult major league pitching can be velocity-wise. But now that they're back, they're back. And let me tell you something about the Rays offense. Not much has actually changed in terms of their peripherals. Only one real thing has changed in terms of their peripherals. Their team walk percentage is about consistent with where it already has been. Their team strikeout percentage is like slightly lower, but still kind of around consistent with what it has been. Their team on base percentage is only improved a little bit. But do you know what has improved? Their isolated power, their slugging percentage, the extra base hits, the home runs have all spiked massively. And do you know why that is? It's because the guys that we depended on and who were doing exactly the power stuff that we expected from them last year are finally coming back and doing that this year. Because apart from Rortvedt this week, the guys that are hitting for power are all the guys that were doing it last year and that we expect to hit for power. Randy, Yandy, Lowe, Lau, Paredes. They're our big 5, and they're the ones that are putting up the big numbers power-wise. And that's what they've been doing their whole career. And they're finally doing that at the pace we expect them to all along. And now that the lineup is kind of running as it's supposed to with a full squad, they're bouncing off each other, they're protecting each other, and they're getting better pitches to hit, and they're hitting the ball harder because of it. It's as simple as that. So while it didn't happen as quickly as we may have wanted in terms of all the guys coming back and immediately protecting each other and causing the power to go back up, it's happening now after a bit of input lag, and we're there now. So this team is currently, over the past week, 4th in all of baseball in WRC Plus. We're the 4th best offense of the week, behind only the Grimace-infused New York Metropolitans. I don't know what satanic ritual has happened over there where Grimace, the McDonald's mascot, threw out the first pitch and then turned them into the gods of baseball, but that's the thing that's happening. The Orioles, who are probably the best offense in baseball generally, and then, funnily enough, the Twins. So we're right there with them now, and we love to see that. Our isolated power actually leads all of baseball at the moment.
Wow.
So in the past week, anyway.
Yeah.
So we're so back, and we'd like to file a claim with the Way Back department.
Absolutely. And someone else who I think needs to file a claim in the We're Back department is the RBL Arm of the Week. Would you like to tell us who that is, Pat?
Yeah, our RBL Arm of the Week goes to a man we've already talked about quite a bit today, and that is Colin Poche. Colin Poche leads the team this week in F-WAR from pitches with 0.3. He has made 4 appearances, pitched 4 and 2/3 innings, no runs allowed. Awesome, and he has done it in big spots as well, particularly in that Pittsburgh game yesterday. Really, really impressive from Poche. He's got a FIP of 1.6, which is super, super tasty. An XFIP of 2.56, which is also excellent. He's just been outstanding. And yeah, he's brought an extra high leverage arm to this bullpen that desperately needed a bit of support at the back end, with Adam and Fairbanks having to carry a lot of the high leverage spots. Having that third option is going to do wonders and help relieve the workload on Adam and Fairbanks as well. I'd also like to give a small shout out to Kevin Kelly. He's also been nails lately as well. Think he's been really good. He's actually leading the team in FIP and XFIP, but he's only pitched 2 1/3 innings, so I don't know how much of a sample that is over a week. But also very good. Taj also had a decent start as well earlier in the week as well, who I thought about. But Poche, the value he's provided has been outstanding.
Yeah, and I mean, you cannot come into a more high leverage situation than bases loaded. You just pulled your starter. There's 1 out. You are in a 2-run game. You need to find a way to get out of this game, this situation, as quickly as possible if you want to still win this game. And the offense has ended up playing really, really well, but you didn't know that at the time that Poche came into the game. You had no idea that they were going to get those good performances. And the guy who was up to bat, by the way, is Andrew McCutchen. He, a former MVP winner, not a nobody whatsoever, and he got the double play ball, took the threat completely away. Absolutely outstanding performance from him. Since he has returned from the IL, the only pitcher with more F-WAR than him is the other guy we talked about who was up for Arm of the Week this week, which is Kevin Kelly, who's also been fantastic. They're both leading the team over all of the starters since Poche has returned on the 8th. They're leading the entire team in F-WAR. So really, really good performances from both of them. We're giving it to Poche because of that really high leverage moment where he came in and did what needed to be done to get out of that spot and allow us to then cruise to the win. But I mean, really, really awesome week from both of those guys. Poche is the Arm of the Week, and Kevin Cal, you are the he's the elbow of the week or something. I don't know. He's like a part of the arm. He was really, really good as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to make a meme, or maybe our producer could make a meme where, the astronauts, where it's like, oh my God, Colin Poche was the best left-handed pitcher on the Rays. And then the other one's like, always has been. I feel like we need to do that. Who are your bat and arm of the week? You should let us know in the comments, or tweet us at Depressed Rays or Real Zach Dab or RBLR Rays or whoever you want to tweet it at. But you should tweet it at us and let us know who your arm and bat of the week are. Zach, we need to talk about the playoffs because they're still 3 months away. But we gotta have a look at this playoff picture because it's still a bit muddled, but we've made some progress. We've moved up a game and a half since the last pod in the wildcard standings. We're now 4 games back of the Twins of the 3rd wildcard spot. We're currently second closest, behind only the Red Sox. How are you feeling about our playoff odds, considering Fangraphs give us about a 20% chance of making the playoffs as of today?
Much better than 20%, first of all. When you look at the teams in front of us now, it's just Boston, and then Minnesota and Kansas City are ahead of us in the wild card standings, and then Baltimore above them. I said it last week. This 9-game stretch that we were entering, this Twins, Pirates, and Mariners series, was going to be critical to us moving back into playoff contention. And they have done exactly what they needed to do. They got the win to end the Braves series, won the Twins series, have won the first game against the Pirates. They have a tough matchup today. They have a tough matchup with Skeens on Sunday. So there's you're going to need to get some good performances there. And then you have an absolutely box office home series against the Mariners. We're getting their 3 best starters, and 3 of, if not our best 3 starters, are going against them. So that's going to be a phenomenal series there. And then the Nationals at home. So this is the stretch that I said that we're going to need to climb back into it, and they have done exactly that. Getting the tiebreaker over the Twins was great, and then now you're continuing to move in the right direction from a wins perspective. One of the things we talked about a couple of weeks ago when looking at the playoff picture was all the teams ahead of us. All those teams have kind of fallen either behind us or level with us. And so we're right back in the thick of this thing. Boston's ahead of us right now. We play Boston, so we'll have the opportunity to catch them. We have the tiebreaker over the Twins. The Royals are going to be a tough team to chase, but they're only a half game above the Twins. So it's all right there. It's all in front of us, and we've started this off the right way. It's just so critical for the Rays to get the series win on the road here against a Pirates team that is, that has a lot of talent, especially with Skeens on Sunday. I'd really like to get the win today because who knows what we'll get from Skeens. He could be lights out, or we could get to him in the first 3 innings, the same way we did to Hurston Waldrop against the Braves in last Sunday. Skeens is a little better, as much as it pains me to say, than Hurston is right now. Because Skeens is from LSU and Hurston's from the Gators, and it just hurts my feelings a little bit to say, but it is true. So that's a tough matchup, and then you get a preview of the playoffs potentially against the Mariners at home, and then probably the easiest series for a little while, which is a home series against the Nationals. So this is the time to make that move. They've started it out the right way. It is so critical to get this series win versus the Pirates, because you're going to be in a dogfight against the Mariners. It would be really, really good to find a way to get another comfy win in here and really not have to use our bullpen aggressively, so we have it available, because we do not get an off day between the end of the Pirates series. We have to travel back to Tampa, play that series. We do get an off day after this series going into the National Series, which to me, that series should be an easy win or a sweep to me, because you get a day off going into a home series against a lesser team talent-wise than you, even though their record is quite literally, I think it's either the same or a little better than us. Technically, the record is slightly better, but we should be better than the Nationals. Our talent should be better than the Nationals, so we should win that series. So this is a critical stretch, and the Rays have started it out the correct way.
Yeah, I think if we can win today or tomorrow and take this Pirates series on the road, that'll be a really, really successful road trip.
Yes, I would agree.
And then, because it was a 9-game road trip as well, so it's always tough to be on the road for that long and not see your performance levels dip. And then, like you said, 2 series at home to close out the month. The Mariners is going to be tough. I would really love us to pick up a comfy win or 2, or at least the offense shows some signs of life against some tough young pitchers against the Pirates, because if we can carry that momentum into the Mariners series, where they got some really, really tough starting pitching, you'd want them to be feeling as confident as possible going into that. The vibes be as high as possible, because I think we're behind in the pitching matchups for all 3 games of those Mariners series. So we will need to depend on our bats to show some signs of life. But yeah, if we can close out this month really, really well, I mean, next time we're talking, we may be talking at the very end of the month, probably towards the end of this national series. We could literally, if we have a good week, we could be right on the cusp of a playoff spot. And then, we're really in business. But if things go bad, we could end up being 6-7 games out of a playoff spot, and then we're going to have to completely reevaluate. So the crucial nature of this week cannot be overstated. I know technically it's not must win, but when we're informing trade deadline decisions, this is a really crucial week.
Yeah, because when you look at after that national series, you get a day off, then you go to Kansas City, to Texas, home against the Yankees, home against the Guardians. That is a murderer's row of a 2-week stretch. Brutal stretch of baseball. All teams that are in the playoffs right now as we speak. I think no, the Rangers are not, but they're a very talented team. That's the worst team we're going to face in that stretch. Is the World Series
world champions.
They're literally the defending world champions. That's the worst team we're going to face in that stretch. So, listen, you need to get some wins now. And again, if you get moving in the right direction, like I don't think there's none of those series that if you look at that stretch, that I would say that you could win all of them. Because the toughest 2 series are at home against the Yankees and the Guardians. That Royal series on the road is going to be hard. You'd really like to be, to kind of be moving back in the right direction record-wise going into that series. Because, could they win it? Absolutely. But that's a tough series. You do get the day off beforehand, so that's helpful. But that's a tough one. And then you go to the Rangers, and then you get the Yankees and Guardians at home. So if we continue to play well and have that momentum, we could really have some impressive series there. But what you cannot have is flounder your way into that stretch and then be in a tough spot versus really, really good teams. What you want to do is have good momentum going into that. And the Rays are already doing that right now. They're moving in that direction. I just hope, and I'm manifesting into the universe, that when we speak again, we're going to be talking about this team is gearing up as we've been talking about, and they're going into a tough stretch of games, but they're playing well. This is how we'd want to see them play going into a stretch like that.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. So hold on to your butts, folks, because this is going to be a big week. So you should read. If there's a time to tune into the Rays, tune in now, because this could be a make or break point of the season. Do you have any last thoughts that you want to get off your chest, or are you all good?
Just to say again, the end of that Guardian series takes us right into the All-Star break. So that is that's a turning point in the season if we can start moving in the right direction there. All I really want to say other than that is just thank you for watching. If this is your first time watching us live, thank you. We really appreciate you. If you enjoyed what you saw today, drop us a subscribe on YouTube or a follow on Twitter or any of the other socials. Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and do us a huge favor. The best thing you can do for us, and it's free, is that follow and it's that share. So if you want to support us for free, just do those things for us. It'll help us out so much as we're trying to grow this. We want to be able to talk baseball with all of you. Don't be afraid to comment and tell us what you think. We love having you guys here live, and we'd love to hear from you too. So don't be afraid to drop those comments. Don't be afraid to let us know after the video. I do patrol the comments occasionally of the YouTube videos. So if you drop a comment, you never know when I might pop in and have a response in there. So do us a favor and tell us how you feel, and just give us a little like and subscribe to show that you enjoy the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's going to do everything for this week's RBLR Rays show. Like Zach just said, we really appreciate you having along for the ride. It's a crucial week. Hopefully we'll have big smiles on our faces next week. Enjoy this week of Rays baseball, folks, while it's hot and sunny. Kevin Cash has been extended till at least 2030. What more to say? Rays up.
Rays up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.